Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another it's not Express Entry Live. It's Express Entry. It's TR to PR pathway. It is just about everything you can imagine. That's what we're covering today. So this is open season. I'm Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, and I want to welcome all of you to this latest version of our Canadian immigration live Q&A. And it seems like it's been just an eternity since I last was going live, and I couldn't help but give a shout out to my nephew Preston here. That is so awesome when your nephews are following this. This is hilarious. So that's awesome. It's great to have you, Preston. Thanks for watching. Big shout out to my nephew. That's awesome. All right, let me know where you're tuning in from. Start posting your comments. Today, we've got a few announcements. Are the borders opening? That's the question. All right, so let's work our way through all of these questions and comments and everything. It has been quite a week. And for me, the practice has been busier than ever. I've done more consults than I can imagine. And I can't believe how many consults I've been doing with individuals who made mistakes in their application. And I can tell you, there was a time when I started practice. Wow, I guess it was 2003 is when I first started working in a law firm and I started doing immigration. At that stage, 2003, well, that's pretty loud. Sorry, guys. I can see my microphone is really loud. Okay, now you can probably hear me okay. That's a little bit better. This is, okay, but it's not using the right microphone. All right, let's see what we got here. This is quite interesting here. I've got so many things going on, and I'm just going to reconnect my other mic because right now I'm working off of my MacBook Pro microphone. And this is how we roll here, isn't it? Is it down? Yes. I'm going to restart and see if I can re-engage my other microphone. But anyways, so while I'm trying to fix my audio so I have my better audio because I like that. Yeah, it's been crazy. I would say at least 35% of the consultations I get are people that have made mistakes. And and so because of that, there was a time, like I said, when I first started practicing, where I was actually able to fix everything. There was either a person I could call, immigration were willing to entertain reconsiderations. There wasn't a harsh processing standard, this one-touch policy that we have right now. And so all of these things have been just really, really, they've evolved over time to make the whole process more and more difficult. Okay, let me try one more time here and see what my challenge is. So while I'm searching to get my microphone connected, I want all of you guys to please post where you're tuning in from, okay? Because I love to see where everybody's listening from. Give me a second here. That's why my microphone isn't working properly. Okay. Laptop out, and I was doing I was doing some videos, and one of the videos that I did was, let's see if we can get this all sorted around here with my crazy my production studio here. That's a one-man show here. Apparently I got a Facebook page open. That's great. I want to shift over here to this one, which is let me refresh this page. It's called, I just uploaded it, and it's called Grandma's Big Fish. I don't know if you guys can see that there. Probably not. Let me just slide this over a little bit. So I went fishing with my mother on Saturday, and so I just finished putting this together. And when I left, I took my laptop, which then, of course, I had to unplug everything. And when you unplug everything, then you have to figure out a way to plug it back in. So let's see if we have it showing up now. Oh yes, now I think the mic is now working. Now it's probably a little quiet. So now I'll turn it up here, and then we'll get into a spot where I've got my nice audio. I think you guys can hear this okay. I think we're in pretty good shape here. Okay, so let's roll with this. Welcome, restarting the whole welcome. And yes, my name is Mark Holthe. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer. And this is my live Q&A that I do every Wednesday. At least now it's Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. And I can see we've got a little over 200 people that are watching live. Many of you are going to be posting questions right away. Hold off on doing that. I will jump to those when I give you the green light. Well, I don't know if I have a green light. Maybe I'll ring the bell or something. I don't know. I've got some sound effects here. Maybe what I'll do is I'll like ring the bell, and then that will be your signal to to start posting the comments. But hold off for now because I'm going to jump through them. I want to give some shout outs. Let's see who's here. So the sir is congratulating himself because he's here before Ralph. Well, that's pretty funny. That's actually hilarious. I didn't know that you guys were trying to beat each other to be the first to comment, but that is hilarious. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to sort this out, see if I can make this just a little bit larger so everybody can see it. Ah, there we go. Now, some people post these big, long questions, which makes it difficult for everyone to see. It takes up the whole screen, and then I'm like peeking over trying to find people. All right, let's tackle. Let's get into this. Who else do we have here? So yes, my nephew Bruston. Good to see you, my friend. We've got Hitesh, who's in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Excellent. I don't think I've had anyone from North Battleford before. Let's see. We've got Aparna is here, and Jasmeet, and no news on the TR to PR pathway. And the news, what we're looking for. Now, I know some of you are getting acknowledgments of receipt, but hey, I was tricked into answering a question there, Elaine. I'm saying hello to people right now. No news yet in terms of whether they're going to open it up, but it's all good. Okay, we got Fayaz, who's in Montreal. There's Ralph in there. Thesura was bragging because he got in first. That was hilarious. Hello, Hiran. Good to see you. Let's see. We've got Kitan is in Prince George. Excellent. The interior. I love that. Okay. Thumbs up to you, Bruston. Yes, I gave you a thumbs up, my friend. I'm going to cheer for Bruston's got himself. Bruston gets himself a big shout out. I've never had my family actually come on. So good for you, Bruston. Bruston's in high school right now. So he's obviously got a little bit of spare time on his hands. That's great. Okay, let's see who else we've got here. Diane, good to see you. My good friend, immigration consultant. Good to see you. Diane has taken my courses. I think you took the TR to PR pathway as well, Diane. So it's great to have you here. We've got Sheila. We've got Satyam, who's in Barrie, Ontario. Where else? We've got Hiran's in Toronto. Oh, good morning from all too sunny Phoenix. Oh, do you know what time it is? Sorry, time. Do you know what's the temperature? I always have to look here. Okay, let's see what we've got. It's 8 degrees and raining here in lovely Lethbridge, Alberta. Rain is good. We need it. And the crops need it. So no complaints about that. But oh boy, Phoenix, that is awesome. Thanks, Prince. He likes the music. Okay, I'm doing great, Sandeep. We've got Ratika, who's over in Ottawa. Excellent. You're very welcome, Roshan. He's already saying thank you. I appreciate you guys being here. Because let's face it, if you guys weren't here, there would be no live Q&A. So thanks for joining. Let's see who else we have here. Bali in Lethbridge, my hometown. That's where I'm broadcasting from, you guys. Lethbridge, Alberta. And it's great to see people tuning in from the hometown right here. And we got Vancouver. Joseph also is enjoying beautiful, beautiful Vancouver. Tofield. Oh, awesome. Peto's in Tofield. That is excellent. Oh, actually, let's see. I clicked the wrong one. Here we go. There's Peto. Peto's in Tofield, Alberta. We got quite a good connection here. Okay, now this is awesome. So Musi says, hey, Mark, all the way from Longueuil. You're going to need to tell me what country that is. I'm not sure what it is. And Preston saying thanks. You bet, my friend. You bet. Okay, let's see here. We'll keep going. We've got Nelia. And yes, Muhammad is still waiting for the AOR Lotsar. We got Vancouver. Good to see you. Let's see who else we have. We've got some Toronto. We have Edmonton. Gates up in Edmonton. Winnipeg. I love this. I love the fact we're across the country. Scarborough. I'm looking for Maritimes. That's what I'm looking for. Get the whole coverage here. Good to see you, Mohammed, in Toronto. Brandon, Manitoba. We've got MPs over there. Scarborough, once again, Elaine's in Scarborough. Great. Woodbridge, Saskatoon. This is so cool. I love this. Yes, I'm doing fantastic. All right, we got Taiwan. Fantastic. Thanks for tuning in. I know that the timing is not great when you are over in across the pond, as we say. And we've got Vipnis in Ontario. We've got lots of people in Ontario, which is wonderful. And really, this is noon. So if you guys are working, maybe this is your lunch break over there. So that's awesome. Okay, so we'll zip through here. Yes, great. We've got Indian representation. Punjab, fantastic. Kathmandu, this is great. Pravish is over in Nepal. We've got Bangladesh. We've got Cornwall, UK. This is awesome. I love, oh, there we go. There we go. Naikari Carol is watching from Halifax. That's what I was waiting for, was the cross-country recognition. So there's so many of you. Thank you so much for giving me, just posting where you're tuning in from. I could really spend the whole live Q&A, and I know you guys don't want to do that because you want me to get to your questions as many as possible. Hold off. Don't post them yet. Great. So we've got them on. We've got actually a really good representation across the country. So, yes, very, very good. Okay. Lots of people all over. Hawkesbury we've got here, Ottawa, Montreal. Okay. All right. Enough of that. I have to give a shout out to Libya. I can't help myself. Exeter. We've got Sydney, Nova Scotia, another Maritimer. Okay. All right, so what I want to talk to you guys about today is, let me see if I can do it. Maybe it's this one. Okay, let's see what's rolling across the screen. The ticker, what do we have today? Well, there's rumblings, and I'm not sure if the Prime Minister has made an announcement yet, but and we don't know exactly to what extent this potential announcement is actually going to how it's going to impact on immigration. But one thing we do know is that it looks like they're going to end the COVID hotel for people that have had both shots. Now, I've got my second shot pending here. I think it's next week or the week after. I can't remember my second COVID vaccine. And so what that means is, excuse me, for me, that I can now hopefully cross my fingers, go to the US, and actually be there when my daughter graduates from school. And I can tell you there's mass celebration here in my family because it's just really hard to quarantine. And so obviously you want to keep everything safe. You don't want to travel without reason. But I'll tell you, my daughter's graduation is justification for me and my wife to travel to the US. Now, with that being said, I can't wait to see the whole borders open up. I can't wait to see everybody, all of you overseas candidates who have got expired COPRs, who have valid COPRs that are expiring, who are waiting for your application to process, and even all of you out there who have been waiting for an open draw, who have seen your points starting to trickle down because of birthdays. My heart goes out to all of you. Who could have ever predicted that this pandemic would have happened? And who could have predicted that it would have lasted as long as it has? So I think all of us are hoping that the end will come. Okay. Now, so we're just waiting to see what's going to happen. There's been some rumblings, I guess, that potentially there will be, there should be an announcement today. And actually, let me see if I can actually pull it up here. Let me just pull it up and we'll click on here. I'll flip my screen around. Okay, so you can see right here, make sure I've got it. Yeah, that's not bad. That looks like you guys can all see it okay. So right here, you can see the Minister and Government of Canada officials to hold a news conference on the coronavirus disease. So Ministers and Government of Canada officials will hold a news conference to provide an update on the coronavirus disease, and it will be right now. So 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight, that is right now. It's happening. And let's see here. I don't even know if we can see where they're doing it. Yeah, I don't see where they're actually doing it. Maybe some of you can provide the link and you guys can give us a live a blow by blow as to what's happening. But we're hoping that this announcement is going to result in I don't need that one anymore. That there's going to be some relaxing of the restrictions, and we just don't know how it will impact immigration. The moment I find out, trust me, you guys will be the first to know. But that's one piece that I definitely wanted to let you guys know about, so that you could be, well, basically, so that you could start watching things really closely, because I suspect there will be different rules to some extent for different countries. Depending upon how, the infection rates, depending upon how well that country has been able to get the virus under control. I suspect that those things will play a role. And so so the moment I hear anything, trust me, as you guys know, I will let you know the moment after. Okay, a couple things that I want to do here. I also want to let you know that I've got a couple things percolating in the background. I'm going to flip my screen around here. For the Canadian Immigration Institute, right here, you guys, if you click on CR courses, you will see the TR to PR pathway. Yep, it's still out there. Those of you who are slowly getting your language assessments, you can access the course for 50% off. The Express Entry course will probably start June. Well, we're already June, so June, July is when I'm going to do another one. If there's enough interest, then we'll proceed forward. All you have to do is click on Get the Course, and then when you're here, you have the ability to reserve a spot. So once we get enough people that are interested, then I'll do that course again. But here is my latest one that I'm in the process of finalizing here. And this is the PR card renewal course, which is a brand new one. And so that one, as well as the LMIA is there, as well as the spousal one right here. These are the two that I'm getting ready to launch. So as you can see, I have fallen in love with this model. I have fallen in love with the ability to teach as many people as possible. As you guys remember, and I've said repeatedly, I was a former high school teacher before I went to law school. And when I went to law school, I worked on the border as an officer. And now that's what I do. This is my day job. And can you imagine a better thing to do than to be able to teach people, to be able to use my law degree, to be able to use my teaching degree? And it's just been amazing. I've absolutely loved it. All right. So go check those things out. There's links below. Now, here's what I want to do. I'm just looking at my screen here, and I think I'm going to just make one last little adjustment. And let's see, we're in the midst of doing our online symposium for the Canadian Bar Association. And so I was experimenting with a whole bunch of different things over the weekend on Friday. And so now I'm just realizing, now that I've launched this, that there are a few things that I need to adjust. And one is my screen size right here so that it fits properly. Okay, let's go with that. All right. Hey, we're doing good here. We're doing good. Okay, it's time. It's time. Post your questions now, and let's dive into answering the questions. We'll devote the rest of the time, which is about, I'd say 35 minutes, to answering your questions. Make sure you always put a Q in front of it. And when you put the Q, that's how we'll know, or at least I know, that it's a question and not just you guys talking amongst yourselves, because that happens a lot. I see a lot of people answering each other's questions. And so you can now start posting your questions, and we'll see what we can get to. We'll get to as many as possible. Okay, Maria's got a big one here. Maria says, we are from New Brunswick, submitted application for the essential workers. Is there any difference if we are doing a medical in Quebec or Ontario? What to do if the work permit ends before we get an answer? Okay, a couple things to realize, Maria. One, wherever you get your medical, it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. But the second component, what if your work permit ends before you get an answer? Well, what we're hoping is that immigration is going to allow people to, and I'm going to stretch this out so it goes a little bit lower there. That looks good. Okay. So basically what we're waiting to hear from immigration is, I don't like this. I'm going to trying to find the right size so that it works just right, but not too small. Okay, I think we can work with that one. Okay, so in your case, there is no obligation that you are continuing or still working at the time in which you have your TR to PR pathway application approved. So you don't have to still be working. You have to be working when you apply, but not after. So in some cases, people may need to apply to extend their stay as a visitor. That may be the option for you because you have to maintain valid status in Canada. And so if you're waiting for your TR-to-PR pathway program to be approved, some people may have to do that if your work permits are expiring. Now, one of the things that we're lobbying for, one of the things that I've been working with immigration and trying to encourage every time I get a chance to talk with the minister, is the need for them to create a public policy like they did to extend postgrad work permits by those extra 18 months. So that's what we're pushing for, is for them to open up a public policy to allow people who have a TR-to-PR pathway application in the queue to be able to get a work permit to bridge the gap. It's not a bridging work permit, but like it serves the same purpose to allow someone to be able to continue working until a decision is made on their TR-to-PR pathway. So that's what we're hoping for. Well, the moment I hear, you guys will be the first to know. All right, let's see who we have next here with some good questions. Hello, Yash. He's down in Buenos Aires. Good to see you. This is awesome. You know, it's so cool seeing where people are tuning in. Okay, let's see. Remember to put your cues, just like Ashmeet here. Okay, cashiers at A&W McDonald's are eligible for essential workers. Please, I am really confused. Okay, Ashmeet, I've had this discussion many, many times. And the reality is, a cashier at A&W and McDonald's has never been considered to be a cashier for the purposes of work permits. So when you're applying for an LMIA, or that employer is going to the government to get a labor market impact assessment to offer a job for someone to work at the front of A&W or McDonald's or Burger King or Dairy Queen or whatever of those fast food franchises, I have never, ever heard that position referred to as a cashier. And I worked a lot in the early days of my practice with the large franchises. So who are they? They are food counter attendants, food service supervisors, assistant restaurant managers, and restaurant managers. Those are the levels typically that are contained in those restaurants. And those positions were not put on the list of essential workers for a reason. And the reason is because immigration feels that in some of those positions, there are enough Canadians and permanent residents to fill these positions that they want to make sure that those spots are reserved for them. Now, if they include essential workers on the list, their feeling is that those positions are ones that Canadians typically do not fill, and that because of the shortages in those occupations and the importance that those occupations have to the functioning of our country, that therefore they are included on the list for the TR-to-PR pathway. So, short answer, is a cashier at A&W and McDonald's eligible? Well, my belief and my feelings, and I have not seen any rejections yet for that, is that no, it's a food counter attendant position and it's not on the list. I see a cashier as someone who works at Safeways, someone who works at the local superstore, you know, someone who works at Walmart. Those are cashiers, and they're a different knock code. Now, with all of that being said, Ashmeet, the last component that I'll say, and the last little piece I'll add, is that in order to qualify for that knock code, you have to show that you've performed a substantial number of the main duties associated with that position. So if your position, the job that you're doing at A&W or McDonald's, can truly be defined as meeting all of the duties within the cashier position, then all you can do is make your pitch. Maybe an officer will agree with you. But I can tell you from my perspective, I would never see a cashier as being someone that worked really as a food counter attendant at one of those franchises. So long answer, but it's important, Ashmeet, because many, many people are looking to try to find ways to get on the list when their position probably really isn't there. So they're trying to stretch the position. They're trying to be creative in how they list their duties. And I'll advise you guys, do not misrepresent. You know, just because you've performed a few of the duties doesn't mean that it's okay to just not include the duties that you really are forming 80% of your actual job, so that the ones that appear on your letter, the reference letter, more closely match with the knock code you want to meet. So by excluding duties, that's misrepresentation, because the comprehensive nature of those duties is what allows an officer to determine exactly what knock code. Sure, you can be creative And when I say creative, I mean misrepresent. You can do that, and then the officer, when they look at the reference letter, it's not a real accurate representation. You've only chosen the duties that you think will allow you to match with your preferred knock code. You don't want to do that. You need to be honest, and you never ever want to be in a position where you've misrepresented. And just on Monday of this week, 2 days ago, I had 3 individuals. I think I had 9 total consults. 3 were people who had either failed to include something, disclose something on a previous application, or had tried to, in a way, misrepresent. And not really in a way, it was a misrepresentation when they filed their application, and they were asking how to fix it. So don't get caught with that. All right, let's see here. Okay, once again, how much time AOR is going to take. Submitted my file around 12:38. Guys, we are starting to see the AORs coming through. Now remember, the first ones are really going to be people that are going, that their applications are being used for training purposes. Remember, the visitor visas are the visitor visa officers who are really not busy right now doing visitor visas are, to a large extent, the officers that are processing the TR to PR pathway program. And so it's going to take some time for them to get trained. And some people are through, like some people are not actually getting their application approved, but people are starting to get acknowledgements of receipt now. And you're going to start to see this picking up speed now. Once the officers are all trained and they're able to start processing these, they will get faster and faster and faster, because this is a new program. And the things that are required for the purposes of this TR to PR pathway are much more than are required for a visitor visa. So these officers are receiving their training. So we don't know yet, but I would love for people to post when they get their AOR. And if you have, please post below. And what I would like you to do as well is let us know if you are one of the individuals that made a mistake in your application, because that's what I'm really curious. How strict are they going to be with adjudicating these applications? Because you international grads who raced a file, who have all kinds of problems, I did a special video just for you guys, right, on what to do. And I think that one, if I look at the videos here and shift my screen over. So this right here, the TR to PR pathway new update, this in here, I give you a strategy on how to deal with it if you've made a mistake. So anyone that's asking questions about how do I fix, I made a mistake on my TR to PR pathway, go to this video right here and watch it. It's got about 32,000 views right now. But this video, you guys, is actually going to be one that will help you to understand how to deal with the challenges of having made a mistake and wondering whether or not you're going to get your application processed or whether or not they're going to refuse it, and how to deal with it, at least to give you the best chance of approval. All right. Okay. And remember, I'm looking for cues. So I want to see those cues in front of your question. Okay, here's an easy one. Is remote foreign work experience performed while physically present in Canada admissible for CRS points calculation? Yes, it is, but you can't count it as Canadian work experience. It's counted as foreign work experience for the purposes of express entry and the express entry process. Okay, Vishvesh says, good to see you too, Vishvesh. Why is IRCC increasing processing time for TR visitor applications? Getting married, so need to visit India, for example. First it was 52 days, then 122, then 102, and now 177, because travel is not paramount. And even you getting married is not considered to be an urgent priority for them. And so that's why they're allocating officers to, basically to the areas where they feel the assistance is most needed to meet the needs of the country and the areas that they've deemed to be a priority. All right. Okay, Thesura, can you please explain the procedure that someone outside Canada has to follow in order to get GCMS notes? Pretty simple, Thesura. You need to find someone in Canada who can do it on your behalf. Simple as that. So you get someone to do it, and we do this for our clients all the time. So law firm for sure, an immigration lawyer, consultant, whoever you trust can file that application on your behalf as long as they are in Canada. You can't do it yourself if you're outside Canada. Okay, Alejandro says, if my work experience was paid variable per project, but I was linked to the company working 30 hours per week, how should the reference letter show the salary? You have to demonstrate that you were continuously, well, that the payments are associated with those hours and that you were continuously working. Now, every person is different, and this is where I ring that bell, Alejandro, because I cannot tell you exactly what you need to do in those circumstances and what needs to be included in the reference letter. You know, at a minimum, I would need to know a little bit more about your situation, and I recommend that you go over to our website and book a consultation. We always have in the link below a link where you can book a consultation with myself or one of the lawyers in the firm. You go over here, and all you need to do is click on this link to book a consultation, and you can do that. Now, to try to give you a little bit of assistance, because no, this is not all about Mark trying to get people to book consults. Although I can tell you, I wish every single person that has a question that they're uncertain about that books a consultation, because I can tell you 90% of the time, a person will have one question and then I will give them 3 answers. In other words, answers to 2 other things they hadn't even thought about to help protect them from making those mistakes that cause their applications to get rejected. So frequently, you guys, so frequently, immigration takes very, very stringent positions on applications. And if there's anything that they see that's wrong, then they will return it. And people don't post when they get their applications returned. They don't. They don't celebrate, hey, I missed something. Oh, you know, look at me, guys. No, people post when they get their applications approved. And even in many cases, they've done something wrong that the officer has missed. So that's the world we're living in. So individuals, so that's always one of the things that I encourage people. It's worth it to book a consult, get the answers you need, and then you're in the best position you can be to move forward without jeopardizing your chances of immigrating. So back to the question. In the letter, if you don't have regular pay slips, then I recommend that the employer says that you're paid based on projects, but that the hours you worked were exactly as you've said, at least 30 hours per week. Whenever you're on a project basis, they also wonder, are you self-employed? Because employees usually are paid on an hourly basis or on a monthly basis via salary. They're not usually paid on project basis. Project or term-based positions are often more akin to self-employed than they are as an employee. So it just needs to be explained in that reference letter in detail. Gail, good to see you over in Belgium. Okay. TR to PR. Is police certificate needed up front? Will my application refused if I only send the proof of request? No, it will not get refused if you sent the proof of request. That's specifically what IRCC told everyone to include. All right. Amanpreet says, hey, just uploaded my online IELTS because I didn't get IELTS TRF on May 6th. Huh. I'm trying to sort this one out, Amanpreet. You just uploaded your online IELTS because I didn't get the IELTS, okay, on May 6th. Well, we know, Amanpreet, that for the purposes of the TR to PR pathway, you can do that. And you'll remember, and let's see if we can do this. I'm going to shift over here. Okay, so this, on April the 22nd, they made this announcement. And if you scroll down here, let's see if we can find it. Just give me a second. Okay, right here. As part of the application, IRCC will accept language test results received by applicants through email or from the testing organization's online portal. So there you go. If you met those requirements, then you're going to be okay, Amanpreet. Okay. Okay. So Zihao. Okay. So Wang applied the pathway last week, but I recently got a second job. Should I let IRCC know for TR to PR? You know, once you get your acknowledgement of receipt, if you wanted to update for your personal activity section on your background declaration, well, you can do that. It doesn't form a part of your application in the assessment of it or your eligibility. If you wanted to use the web form, once you get your acknowledgement of receipt to let them know you've got another job, you can. But I don't think that's a requirement that you have to worry about. Okay,
Cooper asks, and that's an interesting image there. I like that. It's not looking like it's you, maybe, Cooper, but I am always curious as to who you guys used for your avatar, for your thumbnail image, for your profile. Okay, how Canadian immigration officer will know about an applicant travel history to the U.S. if overstay had occurred? Well, they're going to know to start with because you're going to be honest. You're going to tell them. So that's the simple question. So that's a simple answer. Whenever I get questions from people, and I had one also earlier this week, what does an officer do to check work history? Because the person was trying to indicate that they were employed when they just been laid off the day before, which was heartbreaking. The simple answer here is that when it comes to travel history and you overstaying in the US, the first and foremost, the first thing you have to understand is you have an obligation to tell the truth. And that's the first thing. Now, when it comes to travel history, and I don't know what your US record shows. You know, Canada has access to the US immigration records for everyone. And if the US has identified that you've overstayed there, it'll be very easy for Canada to tell because they have access to your records for the US. They have the records for the UK, for New Zealand, for Australia. Those are our 4 partner countries that we share immigration history about. And I don't know your whole history here, Cooper, but the reality is if you're not on the radar of the US in any way, that they don't have you as having been an overstay in the US and there's no record of it, then the only way immigration is going to know is if you tell them. Now, with that being said, once again, you have an obligation. And if you don't, that is considered misrepresentation. That if ultimately it's found out, then you're going to get a 5-year bar. Like, misrepresentation is real. Remember, Cooper, that you have an obligation to answer everything truthfully in that application. So it's not just whether or not you've had a prior visa refused in Canada or another country, but in your personal history, what are you putting in that? In your personal activity section for the TR to PR pathway, what are you putting in your background declaration for that time, what you were doing? Because if you had overstayed and you were doing something, wrong, overstaying is wrong, then immigration is going to be, they're going to be wondering what you were doing in the US if you'd been there without status for 6 months, right? Like they're going to want to know. And if you were actually no longer in valid status in the US, then that can come back. That can be a problem for you. So long answer, but I get a lot of those questions. Okay. CEC draw predictions. Why not? We always do this, don't we, you guys? It's all a part of the process here. So let's flip the screen over and let's take a peek. So we saw that the scores are dropping. There was a crazy draw. You guys saw that, right? So May 31st was the last draw, 5,956, okay? And the low score was 380. So if we go back and we look at the previous rounds here, we'll pull these up, okay? So you can see here, we went from 397 to 380, and it was in 11 days. So 20th to the 31st is 11 days. And they did another, basically it's about 6,000. And if you tallied these together, we're pretty close to 6,000 with these two right here. So 5,956 issued May 31st. Today is June the 9th. We could see one. We could. Obviously, we haven't seen it yet because I just looked at it. So I think if they do another another draw of 6,000, I think this could go down to, I think this could go down to 360. Maybe even the 350s, I'll be honest. So that's my prediction. If they do another 6,000 Canadian Experience Class draw, and if they were to do it today, I think it would drop down to 360, maybe even 355. If you look at the number of people that are in the queue, I had a meeting with immigration talking about this portion of their website. And one of the recommendations that I gave them is that they break these candidates down by Canadian Experience Class versus Federal Skilled Worker. So this cohort of people that are right in here, this range, we know that a substantial number of them are Federal Skilled Worker. And it breaks my heart that we have Federal Skilled Workers in this kind of range. because the likelihood of getting drawn is really, really low. But we don't know what percentage are FSW and what percentage are CEC, or, well, it's not PNP. We know that because with the provincial nominee, you're already at 600 points. So we don't know what that is. And because we don't know what that breakdown is, it becomes really, really difficult to know exactly what the next score is going to be and be able to calculate and extrapolate from the invitations issued. And remember, not everybody that receives an invitation is going to proceed forward with filing their EAPR. So some may decline, some may go back into the pool, especially those who book consults with me and I tell them they need to fix things because they're wrong. But yeah, I'm going to say about 355 to 360 if they do it today. And if they do it a week from today, I think it could still be maybe 365 or a little bit lower, right around there. I'll go with, so if it's today, if there's a draw today or this week, I'm going to go down with as low as 355. And if it is next week, then I'll probably put it about 365. There we go. That's my prognostication. Yeah. And Hussam says here, will FSW draws resume by September? Watch the borders. Watch the travel restrictions. And maybe some of you are watching the notifications right now. I'm not sure. But this meeting to see what immigration is saying. I don't think we actually have it here. Let me just pull up. Let's see here. Travel restrictions. Let's see if CBC. Okay, that's not the one. I just want to go, actually I'll go, this is how I do it. I'm going to flip my screen over so you can see. Okay, so you can see right here, they're posting it, mandatory hotel stays, 14-day quarantine period coming to an end for fully vaccinated Canadians. So we don't know how that's going to impact. So 24 minutes ago was updated. Sources say the government will unveil a multi-step plan today to reopen. Okay, so it doesn't look like that multi-plan has been, it doesn't look like anyone's reporting on it yet. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Okay, and that will dictate everything, Hussam. That will dictate where things are at. Okay, Parth says he left the spaces blank in the form instead of writing NA. Will it affect my application? Parth, we don't know at this stage. We don't. Normally, when you leave the spaces blank, it's good to put present or the current date, but we don't know how they're going to be treating those. It may be that they are not going to have an issue with that if it's your current occupation, but we just don't know. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, Garshram says, hey, I had applied an Inland Express entry 2019, October FSW, and still waiting. What can I do? Not a thing, my friend. There's nothing you can do because they don't differentiate between people who are in Canada or outside Canada for the purposes of the FSW. They're just halted. There's nothing that you can do right now. Yeah, and this is a good question, Hitesh. See, that's one we're wondering. If anyone had some substantial mistakes but still got the AOR. Okay. All right. So, football total. For the TR to PR, I submitted my marriage certificate, but I didn't submit the certificate translation. Could it be a problem? Yeah, absolutely. If any document that is not in English or French must be translated, and that certificate of translation is a mandatory component to the application. Whether or not that would result in your application getting refused or not, I'm not sure. But you're going to absolutely want to go back over here, just like I showed you guys. You're going to want to go to this one right here, this crazy picture that Igor, man, he's... let me explain the rationale and the thought process that goes in when we do these thumbnails, okay? So I was joking around and I sent him a whole bunch of pictures just for fun. And one of the things that you guys have to realize is that in these videos, I know that the content is going to help so many people, but many people don't understand or click on it unless you make a thumbnail that actually attracts them. Now, the difference between this thumbnail that I've used here and what traditionally people would call clickbait is that this is actually loaded with all of the information that you would need to get updated on the latest updates from the TR to PR pathway. So I never worry about it being clickbait, but I don't want to be like one of those individuals where, you know, they're just trying to trick people to click and then it has nothing to do and it doesn't have value. You know, obviously the fact there's 32,000 people that have looked at this, Google has felt, okay, or, you know, YouTube has felt that, yeah, it's probably something people want to watch, right? And so these things are super, super important, but I'll be honest, as an immigration lawyer, it's a fine line between trying to create a thumbnail that people will click and they'll actually be able to benefit from what I'm sharing versus, you know, being labeled as clickbait, which it was quite funny. I saw a number of people that were posting comments saying, oh, clickbait, there's nothing useful here. Of course, they're idiots because there's a ton of information that's helpful for people in this. They may have their own perspective and that's fine, but wow. Okay, moving on. Okay, Ravinder says, forgot to submit pay slips. Will it affect my AOR? We don't know. We don't know. You know that it's a requirement. They asked for people to submit pay slips, but how much are they going to accept other documents in lieu of those pay slips? That's the question. Okay. All right. Anush says, birthday missing from family form for, let's see, family members. Can it become an issue in creating AOR for TR to PR pathway? Okay, I'm not sure which form. So if you're TR to PR and there's a birthday missing for family form, that's the additional family information form. I can tell you that for spousal sponsorships, people's applications have been returned because there was no postal code in the address for a dependent. So I don't know. We don't know at this stage if the TR to PR pathway is going to be treated the same, but there is a chance, there is a possibility. So Anuj, same thing, go back here, click on the TR to PR pathway. If you have not yet watched this one right here, make sure that you do it and it will give you instructions on how I advise people to deal with it. Okay. Okay. So Roshan says, did anyone from your course receive their AOR? Yes. So far we've had 2 people. And in the course, and this is like we talked about before, let me just flip back here. I'll flip back to this screen. So the TR to PR pathway course, this one right here, actually has a Facebook group associated with it. So when you subscribe to the course, you're then brought into a private Facebook group that deals specifically with this. So we'll open up here. We'll go to the new TR to PR pathway page. And you will see here, as I scroll down, we have a special tracking sheet right here. So it looks like we have maybe 3 so far that have received acknowledgements of receipt. So we're tracking everything in there. And yeah, and then I just posted today. So, oh, we've got one right here 8 minutes ago. Haha, congratulations. I'm going to give them a like. So there you can see in real time. And they submitted 12:12 p.m. Eastern time. So like 2 hours and 12 minutes in. So there you go. See, that's the kind of things that are in the course, and it's 50% off now. You guys have access to everything, you essential workers that are looking at getting in, even those of you who've already filed, but just want to have a group where you can share information and learn from others and see where people are at. Like it's just been a wonderful, wonderful decision for me to create that private Facebook group to support these. Okay, let's see what else we have going on here. What's up next? I'm trying to find the right one here. Okay, we'll answer Saeed's here. He says, so express entry, November 2019, everything passed except for final decision. Meds have been extended twice and will be expired. What should I expect next? Another maybe request for medicals? Yeah, it's hard to say, but your opportunity will still be there, Syed. Okay, Abdus says, Dear Mark, can you tell us, after AOR, due to currency fluctuation, my proof of funds got less. I'm a FSW candidate. Will it affect my application? They will ask you to prove that you've got the funds there. So update it, increase the amount so that if they come back and ask for, well, in all honesty, I would actually submit a web form with the new updated amount showing that you've topped up that amount. So that's what you're going to do is use the web form, IRCC web form, and just make sure that you've got money in there to cover with the currency fluctuation, and provide a web form confirming to them that you have the funds. That's what you do. All right, let's see. We've got a bunch of people asking about AORs and questions that we've already answered here. Same thing for borders. You can see there's a real pattern, and this is what I like about this. Although we've got just about 350 people watching live, many of the questions that people ask are ones that you're going to ask. And so I'm really, really grateful. And when I go through, I try to choose the questions that are going to benefit the most people. If you ask a question that relates specifically to you, and it's only going to be for your unique circumstances, I ring that bell, and that's legal advice. That's where I encourage you to go over to the website. There's a link below where you can go right to our firm website and you can book a consultation. And then we can make sure that your unique question, your unique situation is dealt with and you have the information that you need. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Joe says, can a non-working spouse be the primary applicant for express entry if they have French language skills? The answer is yes, absolutely. If they have the minimum work experience, if it's occurred in the past, if they meet all the other eligibility requirements, and there are not job offers or things like that would require the person to continue working, then there's not an issue with that under express entry, either FSW or the Canadian Experience class. Okay, Yash says he's an international student currently outside Canada. Can I re-enter after my graduation, but before expiry of my study permit? So this one right here, Yash, that's absolutely a consult, because there are a ton of different factors at play, including the school you're going to. And so those rules are all really specific to each individual. And so it's not something I'd be able to answer now, but I encourage you, Yash, to go over to our website and book a consult, and we can dive right into there, because there's a lot going on with that question. Okay, any updates, flights? Yeah, this is another one, Kunal. This is all a matter of cabinet. This is a matter of Prime Minister Trudeau and the cabinet members that are making these decisions in terms of when borders will open. But my heart goes out to you, my friend. My heart goes out to you. Okay, Cindy says, can I work part-time between the time that I finish my MBA and I wait for my certificate? Okay, so Cindy, I'm going to direct you back here, and I'm going to go back to our website. And Alicia, one of the awesome lawyers in my firm, has written a blog specifically targeted for you on this topic. And this is where you guys need to go check out the website. You need to read the blogs. Can students be working after the end of studies in Canada? So this is her blog that she did on April the 26th. And then if you go over here to the YouTube channel, you can see that Alicia and I, and that one would have been probably Immigration Nation, I believe. Let's see. I've got a bunch of Immigration Nation, view full playlist. Let's see. Study permit, approval rate. Oh yeah, right here. This one, international students. You may be illegal and you don't even know it. This one is with Alicia. So go check that one out, because she goes in depth, as well as the actual post here. Oh, I can find it. There it is. As well as this site. And she goes through specifically whether you can work or whether you can't. And she even created a table that allows you to be able to see in what circumstance and at what stage you're able to do what. So I'd encourage you to go check that out. Cindy, that's what I would encourage you to do. Okay. Let's see who's next here. And the reason it's taking me a few minutes is because I'm scrolling through all the questions that are asking the same ones that I've already answered. Let's see here. Okay, here's a good question. So Murat says, I did my medicals on May 29th and they gave me a paper. That's the e-medical information sheet. Are they going to send my results automatically to IRCC? Should I send another web form for medical last report? Yes, they will send the results automatically, but I want you to update your TR to PR pathway with the medical results. So I do want you to send those in. Let's see here. Okay, this one doesn't have a Q in front of it, but I'll bring it up. Okay, Mark, please guide if the misrep work permit can reapply. If you were found to have misrepresented on your application and they've issued you a 5-year bar from coming to Canada, then no, you cannot apply again until 5 years have passed. Okay. Husam says, I'm Outland candidate with a score of 515. I'm assuming you've got some French language. Should I wait for FSW or look for a provincial program? Both. You're going to do both. You're going to pursue every option that's available to you. Okay. Okay. Wang says, can I apply the pathway if I got temporarily laid off? Am I still employed? No. If you are laid off, you're not employed. And so if you have not yet submitted your application, then you wouldn't be eligible to submit it until you're rehired. If you have submitted your application and you were employed and then you got laid off, that's not a problem as long as you maintain valid status in Canada. In other words, that your status document hasn't expired. Okay, Veronica says, on the work and holiday visa expires in August, can I apply for the maintain status without my tier to PR application number? There's no basis upon which to apply for a maintained status. Like you can't apply for a new work permit. So your working holiday will come to an end. You need to transition to a visitor status if you're running out of time, or you need to wait and see if they do open up something. If they do open up a work permit that allows people to apply to kind of bridge the gap, although it's not a bridging work permit, if they create a new policy for that work permit, which I'm hoping they will, then yes, in those circumstances, you can benefit from maintained status. But at this stage, you don't have anything to maintain your status with. Okay, Roshan is yelling at me now. I answered that one already. I love all caps. That is so awesome. And even one question, one Q is good too. Okay. Okay. Jobert says, I had taken 6 to 8 months to get prepared for the IELTS and gather documents before getting to Canada. So what should I write in the personal history section? Unemployed. Immigration doesn't care. There's this stigma that somehow people feel if they write unemployed in their personal history section or the personal activity section, in the TR to PR pathway, that somehow immigration and officers going to use that against you and refuse your application. It's not the case. They don't care. As long as you meet the eligibility, they don't care if you were unemployed, as long as you were truly unemployed and not also working or doing something else. So I would put unemployed, and then I'd explain preparing to write the IELTS and preparing to travel to Canada or whatever it might be. Okay, this is one I can't answer, Rising Star. 5 months since I applied. My biometrics is done. When can I expect my PR visa? Don't have a clue. For the main reason, I have no clue which PR program you're going through or otherwise. Okay. Okay, here's a good question. So Tamara says, my daughter's Canadian. Do I have to add her as a dependent child in my application for the TR to PR? I always do, Tamara. I always do. So I include her. And, she doesn't have to get an immigration medical. So that's one thing you don't need to worry about. You're going to indicate she's Canadian, but I include her in the application. I do. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, and then there's a number of people as well, like Jim C here, who was wondering when are they going to open up FSW draws? Well, like I said before, when we flip our screen back here and we'll go here to COVID, let's see if I can find the one we were searching for, this one right here. And if I refresh CBC, it's like live updates. When we see the borders starting to open, then at that stage, we're going to be in a position where we can start to see changes happening and more outland draws occurring. Well, open draws. So until we see that, things are going to move very, very slow for people that are outside Canada. Okay, let's see who's next here. Ferry Todd. Hi, Mark, my hero. Oh, that's hilarious. Thank you, Ferry. Todd Ferry, I'm assuming. Thank you, my friend. Okay, if someone's duties fall under a different NOC than their actual role title in the reference letter, should the NOC role title be mentioned or his actual title? Well, when you get your reference letter, you're going to put the title that you've been known as, that you've been working under. If you have pay slips, they're probably going to list that title. So understand, title is not conclusive. What is important is that the duties that you've performed match with the substantial number of the main duties of the NOC, and that you have performed all of the activities in the lead statement. That's what constitutes the equivalency and when determining the proper NOC code, not title. But if you say that your title is astrophysicist or rocket scientist, and your duties relate to that of a food counter attendant, well, immigration is probably going to wonder what the heck's going on, right? But generally speaking, when the title doesn't quite line up with the NOC, it's because the position is really close to maybe two different NOC codes. And I don't get too worked up over that. The key is that the duties are aligned. You're never going to get an application refused because your title doesn't match the title listed in the NOC. It's the duties. Okay, and just to clarify, those of you who are posting, you may have posted questions that I've already answered, and that's why I'm skipping past them. So it's really important that you watch the video all the way through, because then you'll likely get your answer for your question, because 15 or 20 other people, well, realistically, with 330 people watching live still, and we're at the end, we're actually into OT right now, it's highly likely that I've already answered your question that was asked by someone else, and that's why I'm skipping through. Okay. Simi, biometrics to be uploaded, just wanted to know. There's no harm in doing it if you get some confirmation to upload the biometrics and let them know, but they are transmitted electronically, just like the medicals. Okay, let's see if we can find two. I'll do two more, and what I'll do is I will start. I'm going to turn the volume down here, but I'm going to start this. There we go. So that is the sound saying that we're going to be wrapping up here pretty shortly. Let's go to a couple more questions. Okay, will IRCC start to work on the visitor visas for workers submitted inside Canada with the new announcement? Right now, there's no indication that it's going to have any spillover effect for processing. So I'll probably see at this stage, it's probably not going to have a big effect. Okay, we'll turn this down again here. Okay, so we'll finish off with this one. So Rima chose New Brunswick in her profile for express entry, but I wanted to change my destination to Ontario. Did I have to send a web form? It's the case. Did this make me wait an extra time? No, I wouldn't worry about that at all. When it comes, remember, as long as you're not a provincial nominee candidate, so you don't have a provincial nomination and you're not going to Quebec, Canada doesn't care where you live. Your intention can change at any time. It's not a big deal. You don't need to worry about it at all. Not at all. All right. Okay, guys, thank you once again for another awesome live Q&A. It wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for all of you guys. All of this that I do is sponsored by the Canadian Immigration Institute. This is where I have my courses, and you have the option right now at 50% off if you click on the link below to access the TR to PR pathway for all of you essential workers. And if we go and we look at the TR to PR pathway, you'll see that there is still lots of room. So let's see what we have here. If we can go to TR to PR pathway, and let's open it up and let's take a peek. So right now you can see there's still lots of room. Essential workers, 1794, 12,859 workers for the non-essential. So there's room, you guys. So join that course. We've got the express entry. We've got the PR card renewal, LMIA, and the sponsorship course. All of those are available. Click on the links. I'd love to have you join me in one of my master classes that are associated with them. They're the funnest thing that I do. Is funnest a word? Maybe. All right. Take care, you guys. See you next week, 10 a.m. or sooner if there's something amazing I need to announce. Don't forget to subscribe and let other people know about the channel.